Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to this week's edition of AI and You, a program that explores and discusses issues on artificial intelligence or AI from the perspective of Islam. AI and You is produced by Batrisyia Afrina, and I am your host, Sheikh Muhammad Saifuddeen bin Muhammad Salleh. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by a special guest who is very much involved in the development of AI technology. And to discuss our topic from research insights to Ummatic Impacts, please welcome Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Mohd Ibrahim bin Shapiai, Director, Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, or CAIRO for short, at the Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, UTM. Assalamualaikum and welcome to AI and You, Dr. Ibrahim.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Again, thanks, Dr. Shaikh, for the invitations.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to have you with us in the studio this afternoon. Dr. Ibrahim, let's go straight to our discussion. Our topic is from research insights to Ummatic Impact. Before we proceed further, perhaps I think it's best if we can define what is artificial intelligence and at the same time walk us through AI's key milestones from the past to the present and share your thoughts on where AI is heading in the future, especially in terms of societal impact.
Okay. AI in brief is like a coin word now. It's a buzzword. Everyone talk about AI. AI is artificial intelligence. It's not new anyway. It started the idea of AI since 1955. I think very much on a very specific conference called a Dartmouth Conference in 1955. In brief, I would say AI can be put it into a timeline, into three phases. Right? The first phase, sometimes 1955 to 2012, it is like a winter AI. It is isolated, far away from the community. It is more likely on the people in labs. All right. On the second phase, AI so much being interest by a big giant company, especially in US, like a Facebook, Google. So this is sometimes 2012 until 2022, or more specifically, November 2022. So the third phase, which is where we are now in 2024, November 2022, the release of ChatGPT. Everyone talk about ChatGPT because this is the phase or the third phase of the AI wave, so-called. So in brief, this is so much attention is given by not only from the at the level of the country, but again at the university level. Most probably going to talk so much in the context of AI to be impactful from likely more on the university that drive to the benefits of Ummah. So in the third phase, in brief, we can see AI into three sub-phases. We started in November 2022, which is AI goes to mass, to crowd, to the people. So another, we can see the projections of AI into another three sub-phases we call ENI, Artificial Narrow Intelligence. And they expected to move on AGI in sometimes 2027, 2030, called AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. And more important, the third sub-phase, just to project up to 2040, 2045. This is where the beginning of ASI, Artificial Super Intelligence. I'm always making a joke, right, by looking at all these things. Simple to bring everyone to the future on AI, 2040, 2045 on ASI. I think this is something character that close to people in Malaysia, I believe. It is like Nobita and Doraemon. So anyway, Nobita and Doraemon is like, a smart robots. It's like a robo colleagues to Nobita. looks like a very poor student in the school. But again, they have robots to help Nobita. So, but I'm not going to discuss about Nobita and Doraemon. But this is what you can see nowadays on the landscape of AI, especially for the future trend. So AI is going to be the real assistance for human being. I mean, especially for the human.
Right. So basically, you are saying that in the future we should expect an AI assistant or a robot assistant akin to the example that you gave, Doraemon and Nobita. Very interesting future that probably we'll be seeing, inshallah. But going back to you, Dr. Ibrahim, you are based in UTM, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. In terms of AI research, how is the university UTM supporting AI research, and what resources or initiatives are in place to help researchers like yourself to turn insights into impactful projects?
Okay, again, being a researcher in university, especially in UTM, in terms of the support, again, it opens for various type of research in UTM. But for us in UTM, or specifically in our Center of AI and Robotics, where I'm heading at the moment as the director. By the same time, I'm the member of Malaysia-Japan International Institute of Technology. So the establishment of this institute sometimes in 2012. So this is the time, as I mentioned, written back to our timeline just now, the second phase of AI in 2012. So this is very much helpful by the faculty last time. They not only supported in terms of the funding, but again, more importantly, as institute that being collaborate with the Japan side. So this is where we first established a very small data center in UTM, or specifically in MJIIT at that time. So this is where the support by university, UTM itself, to help us to establish the infrastructure. Because with the right infrastructure, that help us a lot on enabling the AI. So this is one part, because when we talk about AI, we cannot forget about the three main ingredients. Maybe people see the application of AI nowadays is really driven by three main factors. First is about data. We need to have a lot of data to have or to develop AI. I think in the university point of view, we are not only make use of the AI, but we are also developing AI. So the first part is again is data. Second, we talk about the algorithm. Okay, so algorithm this is where we can have the fundamental of the understanding about AI, where I think pretty much in terms of algorithm, this is where we're trying to have a good logics. I mean, to make the AI, okay, in short, artificial intelligence or the artificial brain to think. So algorithm is so much related to the ability of AI to think, to have the model, or sometimes people call to train the model. So we need algorithm. So the first one, we talk about data. Second, we talk about the algorithm. Again, the support by university, it covers the third part, which is, I mean, the specific support in terms of the infrastructure. We cannot forget about the third components for AI to be established is the computing platform. I think this is what I mentioned just now. I think in MJIT, we are so much grateful to have the support by the faculty to establish our small data center that allows us to, like our playground in university. So in short, I think with all these three as a main ingredient of AI, data and algorithm by design, it is where we can do a lot of research from that. But the enabler for all these things to have a good AI the support by university, especially on the infrastructure. I may add a little bit. I think again, being a researcher in university, this is the good part. Let's say if you see the opportunity or trying to be a researcher, this is I would say one of the best experience in life, where you not only can assess the university funding, but again, we can assess ministry funding, especially from University point of view is coming from Ministry of Higher Education. But on top of that, I think I may discuss later. I think hopefully we can look on the importance of industry that helps university to explore more on the specific issues to be to be discovered, or more like on R&D in terms of the point of view of industry.
Right. Yeah. So we need data, we need algorithm, we need a computing platform for AI to be empowered, so to speak. Okay, Doctor, once AI research, as you said, is conducted in a lab, in a university, what are the key steps to transition those insights into real projects that benefit the Ummah? Because one of the things that we see people saying about university research is that more often than not, they are left as reports, or something that cannot be commercialized, that cannot be upscaled. So what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, it is something to look in the angle of, maybe I'm not covering the other part of research. Let's focus on the AI again, in terms of the ability or the importance of bringing up whatever we have in lab into something be useful to Ummah, in terms of, let's say in terms of the applications of AI, for instance. So again, in terms of the lab skill base, it is so much important. I try to bring the importance of any specific research. Let's cover on AI. If you talk about the fundamental of AI itself, in bigger picture, I'm interested to share this way. From our experience, from the lab, I think we have several members from our center, few professors, the associate professors, and the senior members of the lab. The struggling normally comes from the fundamental of the understanding. One, you manage to have this understanding, so it seems like you manage to understand better, but it's not the end. But I think from you, Dr. Just now, you mentioned about it's ending like a publications, it's ending as a report, for instance. But I still remember when I talked to a good colleagues of mine, the directors of CAIRO ICOSA, Dr. Zul. All right. So I think we returned back in 2017, 2018. We talk about the sustainability of the lab. Okay, hopefully this is one of the main reason why we want to bring the lab solutions into something can be useful. Maybe not as full commercial, but at least it's something useful enough as a knowledge transfer, as a POC level. POC stand for proof of concept, for instance. So return back in 2017, we talk about the financial scenario and everything. How to make sure our lab to be sustained. When we talk about our data center, they come with the aircon, they come with power utilities. We need to do all the maintenance, for instance. So again, yes, university helped us a lot. But from the lab point of view, so this is where we start. Okay, so we have the opportunity last time. Whatever we've done in the lab scale, we're trying to see the opportunity, how to engage with industry, for instance. Right. So at the time, we still remember. I think my small group, we are working on a few projects, but the one that are very so much interesting is the one that we are working for. A very simple project is about a cow counting. Okay. If I talk about cow counting, it is like a very normal, very simple for human to counting the cow. But we talk about 5,000 hectares of a size of the area of cow. So what we did in the fundamental last time, we're trying to understand how AI really can recognize things, right? So we are talking about sometime in 2016, 2017 at that time. So with the asset that we have in the lab, we're trying to understand how it can be used to various application on recognitions. So the opportunity to work with a very specific industry on cow industry, that driven by a very good company in Malaysia that drive from the drone point of view. So we bring it into one solution, not for Malaysian use at that time. Maybe no one cares so much at that time about AI, most probably, because there's no specific application. It's not about the readiness or anything. But again, the demand is very simple. The existing technology in the car industry, this is the one in New South Wales in Australia. So what they did is basically they have the RFID technology on the ear tagging to make sure how they can count number of cow. So from the fundamental, what we did is basically with the drone companies. So they're flying the drone on 5,000 hectares, a very interesting project. So end up they just flying, and then we can do the counting straight away. Either it is online, which is immediate, or we can do all the post processing. So for 5,000 hectares, we can do all the countings of the cow. So you can imagine starting from very simple kind of fundamental. Again, this is where allow us as a researcher at the time to understand what really industry needs. All right. So for instance, whatever we come up with, okay, I just give one example. The selections of the model of the AI. Let's focus on the data. AI required data. So we are about to counting the cows using the AI algorithm with the flying drone. But again, in Australia, they have a kangaroo. So this is the interesting part. So the algorithm is basically that we work on when the kangaroo come in to the area, we also recognize kangaroo as a cow. Right. So return back to the fundamental. So we have two options at a time. As a researcher, sometimes we can go for a very specific mathematical formulation in terms of data. So return back to AI just a bit. AI requires like not only specifically on data, but again, more important, the balance of the data. Right. So if you talk about this particular problem to counting the cows, you can imagine we keep training the AI. AI you can learn anyway. Hopefully, this is the mechanism. AI really can learn because they call the brain the artificial brain. So what we did as the two options just now, either we go for very specific mathematical modeling, or we choose this option. So we ask to fly the drone on the kangaroo area, which is kangaroo is dominant, and then we just make a superimpose of cow in the image. So what I'm trying to say here is AI needs data with a good data, with a balanced data. So from the lab, we understand all this scenario. So when we go for the so-called like a POC or the opportunity to share with the industry, so we have a better options because we understand the fundamental. It's mainly because of the data. So this is what we did. This is just one of the example that really happens to us, how we bring lab to the industry. And just quick one, I think the second opportunity that we have is addressing the defect inspection in semiconductor industry. So looking at that, so the challenge in lab is so much different with the challenge in the field. Yeah.
Okay, you've shared some examples of AI projects. So, are there any more examples that have successfully transitioned from lab research to impactful solutions to the community?
Okay. I think that's the two examples. Even though it is more on proof the concept, but again, it is very important to tell these two projects, CAL and also just now it's about semiconductor. But recently with our small group, we have the opportunity to to deal with the what they call 3D job, right? The dangerous kind of job. So just to share one of our opportunity to work with on this particular problem, how we bring it so much impactful on this one. It is more on the telco owner or the telco operators. I give a little bit on scenario about these particular applications. If you look on the telco owner or the telco tower owner, so they own the tower, but at the same time, they have the operator that mounting all the assets on the telco tower. Okay, so again, we are not doing something rocket science, but again, from the lab, the opportunity to work on these two particular applications, the same ideas that we're trying to bring into the telco. So it somehow around take us around 2.5 years. Okay, from this telco, the good side is basically they can have the opportunity to access more towers, because AI, whether we like it or not, whether we prepare it for it or not, it is very fast. It is very efficient in terms of if you talk about auditing things or recognizing things, it is super good for the application. So this is a real application. So in terms of the use of this particular example on the telco tower, so this give a real benefit, because all this 3D job, last time, if you talk about the asset on the telco tower, for instance, they have a people as a rigger, as a climber to the tower. They climb and do all the measurement on the antenna. So with the opportunity to work on this particular area, so all the measurements and everything's, especially on the dimensions of the assets, now can be done through AI. But it's not purely AI. It's come together. I think I quite new word here. It is called like a digital twin. So what we managed to do to help this area to the people that working on this area is from very dangerous of kind of job. So I mean, having drone to get all the informations, we translated into a digital twin. From this digital twin, we use AI as a pipeline, first to recognize type of antenna. For instance, we have a microwave antenna, we have the flat antenna, and then we have a lot of type of asset on the antenna that become the communication device. This is, if you want to imagine, this is like if you go outside, you see the base stations, the telco tower owner, all by all the operators with red and white color. So this is what we do. First, a part of the task that we've been given that help people on this area is to measure and identify. But one most important thing is, if you talk about the tower, they are corrode and they are start to peel off, especially in terms of the painting color, right? So we need to identify using AI. So I would say this is like an opportunity for us from lab to understand what people needs outside and how they give a immediate impact to the society or to the ummah, especially on the perspective of this kind of dangerous kind of job.
Right. Doctor, earlier on you mentioned about the industry. So how crucial is the collaboration between involving universities, industry, and also the government in transforming AI research into tangible solutions? And can you provide perhaps some examples of successful partnerships?
Okay. Again, from what I mentioned just now, I think more interesting is the lab kind of research now can be translated into something translational research, for instance. So this is a buzzing word that how we can bring into something useful. Yes, I think in from the point of view as a researcher in the university, if you look on the ecosystem, I think in Malaysia now we have a lot of supports even in UTM, I think they have a few divisions like ICC in UTM, they more on the commercialization part. So this is like a wing that trying to help the researchers to deal with the specific industry. Because you're asking about the importance, right? So the importance of the industry to the university, especially on bringing up any specific solution outside. We need first the ecosystem. All right. So I think this is what we need to have and what we need to get the support. I think in the government agency there are a few. I think that helped us a lot from the point of view of researcher. For instance, we have Meranti, for instance. So this is like the ecosystem that been built up by the country to help the researchers, and they have a few partners. I mean the players from international players that help to make this thing happen. Okay, so with all these things, from my point of view, with the good ecosystem like this one, they help us a lot to deal with the industry. For instance, I think under KPT itself, they have a very specific grant that help or support on the this kind of activities. They have a, I think our group is one of the recipients. It's called a MyLab. This is one of the grants that been given to the researchers, where it compulsory for researchers to have a group of team. I mean, members, where it's coming from various university, coming from various discipline. But importantly, the industry need to be there. And in terms of this kind of setup, it naturally helps the researchers. Okay, so this is where just one example. But again, nowadays, the best part, I think some of our colleagues, some of the MNC companies, and recently we have the opportunity to visit in InvestKL, for instance. So this is where the opportunity for us to reach by the helping of this entity, InvestKL specifically, to have the linkages or the opportunity to solve a very specific industry problem. Okay, so one ecosystem, then we need to have someone to help us, and then of course we need to be outreach by these people. But importantly is return back to your earlier questions about the publications and the report. It is naturally giving you an opportunity to solve a real problem. Okay, so this is the most important thing. So when you talk about the importance of the industry, part of it is funding, but importantly, university now, very specific researchers trying to solve a very specific problem, or not a created problem. Sometimes if you go for a very specific type of publications or journal publication, sometimes we just inherit or trying to do on the benchmarking data, which is sometimes hopefully it is good to share here. It is like you are solving Western problem. But when you have an industry here in Malaysia, they also have a lot of problems. So when they come to you, sometimes the problem that they need to solve is far beyond than what you are preparing for your research. Because again, research is a frontier, right? At all times. For instance, when we talk for this particular problem, how industry help us to shape our understanding. Even sometimes I put the R&D in university with the ecosystem on Malaysia. This is just my opinions. R&D from university point of view, the D and R is slightly different. But when you bring all your understanding on the fundamental, especially when we talk about AI kind of research, scaling up or bringing up into industry, the R&D is slightly different, because R on the perspective of solving industry problem, that the importance of industry problem allows you to be more creative in solving the problem. So you are really solving a very specific problems where they need to solve it. And then when we talk about this one, sometimes all the tools or the fundamental that you have earlier, can be simply translate into the needs of the industry. And the development is really the part where sometimes, if you talk about AI, for instance, Doctor, right? From our experience, AI sometimes just maybe from the whole project 100%, it just maybe only 5% of the elements to solve the needs of the industry, because you need to come up with your if you talk about mechanical design or your full system automation, you need to have your mechanical teams, you need to have your electric system, but the intelligence parts maybe only 5%, but that's what industry needs. So what I want to highlight here, so having the industry in this kind of translational research, um, they need only we cannot see only in terms of funding, but we also need to see in terms of the opportunity of the researcher, especially on this area of AI. So they bring real problems. We as a researcher, we want to solve a real problem with the useful of AI.
So, in other words, what you're saying is that the research has to be contextualized into the local scenario, so that it can be meaningful and impactful. Dr. Ibrahim, we are coming towards the end of our program actually. Time flies very fast when you're having fun. So perhaps my last question to you, again, this is in terms of context.
Okay.
How do you ensure that AI projects, especially those developed at UTM, align with Islamic values and ethical standards, especially as AI becomes more integrated into daily life?
Okay. Maybe this is something I'm not touching yet in terms of the AI perspective. The literacy of AI, because when we talk about, before I come to the respond on the question just now, it is very important to educate or to literate people on the or maybe we talk about the empowering of AI to the people, because when we talk about AI, certain technology, maybe you just look in terms of two perspective. Definitely any technology, they have a developer, I mean the producer, and also the user. For AI, it is more important than that, because the user also can feel the beauty of AI. So okay, so when we talk on this one, first, the literacy of AI. Okay, if we take this opportunity to share with our audience in IKIMfm, right? So the literacies of AI is very important. That's why we need to look on the angle of user and the producer. Like some of our researcher, maybe they look on, oh, how I can develop all these things, but they are bound by any technology is bound by the ethics. I mean, the right things to do, right? So before we come to that part, that's why from the angle of developer, or I mean someone that really look on the fundamental of research, trying to have a very simple solution on AI, this is a role of our center, for instance, from CAIRO. Part of it, what we're trying to have is educating people. So that's why from our know-how, I think we have an expert from robotics. We have, I mean, a researcher or professors from our lab that really working on robots area. They have a very good example. So in AI, they have we have an opportunity to work with industry, translate from the fundamental part. So with all these things, if we come across to the ethics and the right things to do of AI, so I think our labs, especially from CAIRO, from generally from UTM. So it is like our obligations to share the knowledge about the content or the fundamental of this. Okay, so in brief, with all these things, we not only cover on the technical aspect, but I think this is a very important word. It's a buzzword nowadays. We talk about the importance of AI on the responsible of AI, not only in the perspective of user, but also the developer of AI. We talk on the right things to do, the ethics part of AI. Just last one, to share. For instance, when we talk very specific issues on AI, again, I think you always use data. So when you talk about data, so either user like us, when we use ChatGPT, for instance, you need to be very careful with your data. So the sharing part. So this is very important for us to understand. When we start to share all our data, they are for sure on data leakage. So this is something hopefully need to be aware of by all the users outside.
I think you make a very important point on the need for everyone to be educated regarding the use of AI, because I think AI will definitely be an important part of our lives even now. To use AI responsibly, I think we need to have the knowledge, the know-how, and not just as to how to use AI, but also how to use AI responsibly and ethically. I think that's a very important take-home point that you have shared with us towards the end of the program. Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim, for enlightening
Thank you,
us
Dr.
on the
Shaikh.
topic from research insights to Ummatic Impacts. It is my hope that our discussion has given our listeners a better understanding on the close relationship involving many stakeholders, such as universities, industries, and government, in making sure what is done in research at the university can be upscaled for the benefit of the Ummah, as you have shared with us. Unfortunately, Dr. Ibrahim, we have come to the end of our program for this week.
All right.
But before we end, allow me to record our heartfelt thanks to you for gracing the program this week. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 30 minutes or so, you have been listening to AI and You. I'm Shaikh Muhammad Saifuddeen bin Shaikh Muhammad Salleh, signing off until next week. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.